Well, time for me to check in here at the Shelton School District with Superintendent Wyeth Jessee. How you doing?
Great, Jeff.
Saw you the other day at two wonderful schools for first grade kind of literacy and writing, and it was awesome.
It was awesome. The students shined.
It was really cool to see how excited they were to share not only the poems that they had written, but then also share how they're able to comprehend and read stories back to me. And then, of course, the fun of us reading to them. And both schools, I went to Bordeaux and Evergreen, and both of the classrooms were fantastic. You had a lot of great folks that came and participated in that to kind of really show off some good first grade skills.
Lots to say here. Up front, again, it's the kids.
Right.
And they wrote letters. It's part of their, we call them writing units for 1 month. They've been working on how do you, put a narrative piece together that is inviting, but also a little bit persuasive to it, right? Like,
and in first grade.
And first grade, correct? That's right. And not to Santa, by the way.
No, it's to the community.
Or the Tooth Fairy. So, but it is them writing out to community people, community leaders, pulling them in, like you and I were talking about. The mayor was there, and he was super excited about it. Just as one example, right? And business leaders, Sierra Pacific, so on. So super cool to just see the kids say, with their teachers, obviously did a lot of hard work, get the kids to write, bring in the people, and then they can showcase their skills. It's just hard to explain to the community, like, hey, this is what's going on, unless that's your mom and dad or your guardian. Right? It's like about how much amazing reading and writing abilities these first graders had. And I don't know about you, but did you hear quite a few adults were like, I never had those kind of skills at first grade?
Yeah. And they were working on a whole host of different things. You're right, on kind of persuasive letter writing skills. That was never part of the curriculum when I was in first grade. And I think that, you have the sign out front of the district office about the increased percentages of the reading scores and all the scores that are falling into line there. And so by the time these first graders now, 2 years from now, it will only exponentially get better. And I think that's, from what I see, on the school board meetings and talking with staff and people around the district, that's kind of the trajectory. It's a lot of behind the scenes. It's a lot of building the foundation versus, adding the planter boxes and things like that, if I can use a house metaphor.
Great. It is spring, so you can bring most certainly plants and flowers into a conversation. But I can't emphasize for the listeners for this is to really understand that this is a culmination of work by the staff here in the Shelton School District, our teachers, our paraeducators, everyone, the office staff, everybody's had a part in this because this is building out amazing instruction for every student who walks through the classroom. And the Shelton School District is not the same Shelton School District that we had 5 years ago,
right?
10 or 15 years ago. And again, many people who were there went through the Shelton School District, SHS grads, are like, yeah, this is way better. I can see it. And you're right. It's first grade, and we're doing that earlier. Our high school teachers actually love this thing because they're like, wait till they get to you, because they really want to have the access and opportunity for when these kids graduate. This is the future of Shelton.
Sure.
We are crafting the future of Shelton. And yeah, they're first graders, right? And so you got a 6-year-old sitting there or a 7-year-old. And if they can read a book and they can write, they have the power to learn anything. They're in their own seat to, again, learn the things, the mechanisms we want, and whether that's putting together something as an engineer, or that is simply knowing how to run a business, or how to actually work as a team to accomplish something for this community. That is what the skills are. But you got to read and write, and they obviously were engaging. Well, I don't know about you, but the groups of kids I was with was also super engaging. So I just want to really, it is Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to take a special nod to thank our teachers. They work super hard. We've done a really good job of working together to put together this literacy instruction for these kids. It is a system here. It is literally pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Literacy is one of our 4 focus areas, but we also know that it is foundational. So thanks to also the community members that came out, saw us. More events this fall.
Yeah.
So know that there's just more events, and to showcase all the great things that are going on for our kids, and our kids demonstrating all their superpowers.
And now, we're many years now since COVID and kind of the pause on the volunteering and the coming into the classrooms and things like that. So if it has been a while that you have had a son or daughter that have gone through the district, or it's been a while since you've been in school, it's a great opportunity to get in and see how different things are when it comes to learning now as compared to, like you said, 5, 10 years ago, things like that, even further back. So pretty cool stuff. Legislature wrapped up. Lots of things happening out of the ledge, and I don't know what all you have seen from the budgets that have been signed, but it sounds like there's some potentially big impacts in different districts, and maybe impacting even some of the Shelton ways that they look at things.
Man, Jeff, public education's in a tough spot right now.
Yeah.
Financially. And so the costs are just exceeding the revenue. And so out of this, we'll see what the governor has. I don't know. I feel like I'm a little bit behind, maybe by 24 hours on, the state legislature did their work. They presented it to the governor to sign. I don't know where it's exactly at. I haven't seen anything.
As far it may, I don't know if it's been signed or not, but I know he's got budgets, and he has like a few weeks after the end of session to get through them all.
Yep.
And sign them.
Yep. So I don't know, timeline wise, hopefully any day now, right? So the things that were put in there, nothing good for the Shelton School District. There's no money. There's nothing coming to us. It didn't cover the expenses. I mean, I think I've said this before to you and for our listeners, just on our operating expenses, our utilities.
Yeah.
That means like garbage, water, sewer, power. Those expenses for the last 3 years are $4 million over what the state provides us for those expenses.
So, okay.
$4 million.
Let's break that down again. So they say that school district your size with this many students, here's the formula, and this is what you should get. But after inflation and all that, those numbers have not risen to the inflation pace. Is that what you're saying here, to the tune of $4 million?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's exactly right. And so, again, I keep saying as well, it's like whatever you see, your increases happening at home are the same increases that are happening for businesses and also for the Shelton School District. And so by those increases going up and the revenue provided by the state does not match that, we have to contract. We have to not be able to do other things, right?
Right.
Because you have to pay the power bill and I got to pay the water and sewer, right? Those are automatically things that I have to pay for. And when they run almost to $1 million over per year, or over $1 million per year, then you run into where, okay, so where does that money come from? And what I would want the community to understand is, I got people coming to me, what happened to the librarian or a library tech, or what happened to this after school program, or I thought we were going to be able to, have additional paraeducators here at those things go away, because we got to pay the money. It's got to cut somewhere to pay those expenses. And so that's exactly, it's not just us. I mean, you can go to any other district.
Yeah.
I think for your own kids' district, same deal. I know that superintendent, I hear him. I talk to all those people, everybody Everybody across the state. It's not just a Shelton issue, so I'm not trying to cry for the Shelton School District, but I am an advocate for the Shelton School District. That's why I went to talk to the state ledge. I think a lot of people want to. I just don't think there's the money. They are facing their own need to budget cuts, right? The revenue's not coming in. The taxes aren't as high. Things are more expensive. That's just what it is. And so revenue doesn't match expenses. Where are the cuts? That's just an automatic thing that the state government's doing. We're a public school district. We are part of the state. And so we are also facing those same cuts.
How does that work when you know, a lot of the main people who talk about this, they go, well, you know, the state's paramount duty is education. It's line 1, word 1 of the Constitution. And we went through the McCleary thing, and whatever fixes or non-fixes came about that, at least something happened, but it doesn't seem like it's ever been enough, especially for districts, rural districts especially.
Oh, so much to say here. I guess my ultimate talking point here is, what is basic education? What do people consider basic education? What are you getting for your money? What do you want?
Sure.
You want a counselor? Do you want to make sure the books are up to date? Do you want to make sure that math curriculum, you want to make sure you got, for us, the after school activities, you know, and athletics. Athletics is covered by a levy. The state doesn't give us money for athletics and activities. You want to have those after school activity, you want to do all those things? That's not basic ed. And when our budget, for us, half the money is basic ed. The other half are restricted dollars or levy dollars. They're all like, so when you think about that, they say you can operate the Shelton School District for $44 million. I mean, we would talk about cuts.
Right.
And so that's why every dollar matters at this particular juncture for the Shelton School District and other districts is what is basic ed? We are at a place where if we don't continue to fund it, then we are going to have to really curtail the services that we and everybody else is providing.
So where is there somewhere in some book the definition of this? Has it ever been
That's a great question.
adjudicated like
It has, right?
a
The
court?
McCleary, you know, what exactly is basic ed? That's why they love to have the authority at the local level, right? Like, so that's the pride and joy of public education, is trying to move authority at the public level. You have school boards, right? You have votes, you have levies, you have things that are local authority, right? Curricular adoptions, you have your own community group that comes together and formulates and makes some of those decisions. So there's a lot of good things about that, right? That's things that make America powerful. The bad side of that is communities that are not have high property values, like Shelton, compared to other communities that can generate a lot more with a lot more, you know, industry, for example. There's a lot more property value on that industry.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can only generate so much of that will ultimately feed into the taxes that support that. So when you have you get lower amounts off your levy. And so those with richer amounts even get more money. And then they also run capital levies. They run multiple levies for one school district, as opposed to here, we run one, and it's truly a renewal of an operations levy that helps pay for those expenses. Like I was mentioning, you know, it is literally going to pay for some special education, our athletics and activities, and also literally for staffing. It pays for basic ed. It's called Basic Ed Enhancement. What a nice title, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Basic Ed Enhancement from the levy. So there is no definition of it. But what do you want the future of Shelton students to experience and have? That's where we're at. And that's the things that us and every other district needs to wrestle with, and they do wrestle with.
So the difference then between basic ed, I mean, so if you had like a list and you said basic ed, what would be the other? Extra? And so if people would have to guess or say what, well, I think, most folks would be hard pressed to take anything out of what you would consider basic education.
Right. So the state does have a formula. They, for specific positions and money, they say, a prototypical model says for every 300 students, you get, one counselor or one school administrator, right? But even then, on what they say that is, they put their own dollar amount on it that is not meeting market rate.
Uh-huh.
So you're getting 80% of the monies that these things truly cost. And that is why the districts across the state are running out of money, because you're only getting so much to run these basic things. I mean, they don't even give us one full-time security person for the entire district. They don't even fund that, right? And so, we're short, like for a nurse, we do need nurses here. We have kids that have significant medical issues. It might not be your kid, but it is your neighbor's kid.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I think sometimes people forget. Like those things, we are responsible. I'm responsible for the lives in providing those services. If you have diabetes, we got to monitor. If not, that could be a student. We have a number of kids have seizures, for example, or they have a lot of medications that they have to take and monitor, right? And that's a very serious business.
And all of that has really changed over the years. The need for mental health counseling, the need for medical counseling or medical nurses. I mean, those numbers, as people become more comfortable talking about them in a generalized, polite society, the focus on those things has only increased. It's not like there's not people out there who say, well, we have less folks with mental challenges that might need additional therapists or things like that.
Jeff, dude, just take those first graders we saw. Amazing skills. Well, when we think about it, those kids coming through the door, we're going to do everything we can to serve them. The thing that's different now is that schools and school districts are different. When I entered this profession 25 years ago, I was clearly told schools are not responsible for mental health services.
Right.
Guess who's, I feel like, is primarily responsible for mental health services?
Yeah, it's the schools now.
Schools. And that's not just here, right? Like that's, again, you're in other places, you see other things. That's not just here. But if I don't have those first graders, they expect to get a meals through their day. They are relying on those meals. Backpacks, back to school event. I think you've been there for that.
Yep.
We got over 800 families lined up out there needing backpacks, vaccination rates, right? After school activities, healthcare. I mean, these things extend on. If we're not already directly providing it, we are the conduit for it. And so there is not the money for those things. I think schools are the community, are the center of communities. I'm obviously a superintendent. I think that way. I'm all about the services we provide our students and our families. I love the kids that we have, and I love the families. We're trying to do the best we can to serve them, and we will do that. Those amazing skills those first graders have, though, can't be had if they're coming to school really tired and they don't have a mattress.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or there's three deep, right? If I'm not working to help make sure when they come to the door they feel safe and they have some mental health therapy because maybe things aren't going so well necessarily at home. That's not every house, but it is enough, right? And making sure that the lights and the power and trying to get some front, we help be that conduit for them. And after school activities, we know as kids get older, we want them to be in athletics or activities as much as possible. We want to have after school activities for them to also for tutoring that we need to do to get them to grade level and beyond. So all those services add up, and I'm glad we're doing it. It's just, it is expensive.
And, it kind of goes back then to what I was saying just a little bit ago. If it's been a while since you've been in a school or seen how education is done these days with those services that are relied on so heavily, you may not quite understand how big of a necessity they are, including with that breakfasts and lunches and making sure these kids have food to be able to focus on what's going on throughout the day and things like that.
Yeah, and that paraeducator is there to help provide supervision, but also pick them up and help to solve a conflict between two kids and work on their friendships. It takes an incredible amount of time to investigate all the things that come through. I know on the front page, just like we're going to have no cell phone policy next year, right? That's been really helpful at both Olympic Middle School and Oakland Bay Junior High this year,
So
really cutting down those things. So like those things take time, but when those investigations and managing those situations, it just, everybody has to do their part, right?
How do you, so for parents and their kids have cell phones, right? And they say, well, we'll take it to school, or we'll at least have it in our backpack. No, we didn't have they didn't have cell phones when we were in school, fine. But if somebody needs to get in touch with the student, you call the office.
They can always call the office. Students can be released to go to the office. Obviously, we do that at the elementary level. And then even in this policy and the procedures that are written for it, if there is an emergency, a student can use the phone, but it needs to be really emergent. But I mean, Jeff, I'm in classrooms every Thursday and I walk through. How often is there emergency? Kids are on, kids are on their phone to entertain themselves.
Right.
That's the primary reason we're having this, is not to, you can have both situations. You can have both of those things happen at the same time, Jeff. We can curtail usage of phone while the kids are learning. If there is an emergency, the kids are going to have access. We can manage that.
So how do you explain that to parents? I mean, my age, and when I was, again, a kid, no phones because they didn't have them. That's fine. But we're starting to get to the point where adult parents may have grown up with cell phones, and they're
That's a good point.
part of their growing up, just like social media and yada yada. So, I mean, how do you explain the negative side effects, or you don't have to have that constant line of communication, or?
That's a great question. Look, our job is to educate the students, and it's clear with the research or your own two eyes or just common sense. You look at the kids, they're in a class, and you're trying to compete against a cell phone.
You're losing.
Come on. Seriously, which parent hasn't been like, could you please put your phone down and give me your eyes and give me your attention so we can have a conversation?
Yeah.
Right. Come on. It's just the same thing. And when there is, again, emergency situations, kids can have access if they don't even have a phone. There is access to the office. We do work on that. Parents can call. We do communicate, and for them. So
Additionally, too, it's kind of the sending out, the gossip chains and the text messaging and the Snapchats and all these other major distractions that lead right back into a student's mental health there when it comes to bullying, or and there's a picture that moves around and things like that. That's a tough one. So are the phones gonna be locked up? Is it a 1, 2, 3 strike kind of a deal?
It's a progression, just like other things, a progression of discipline. It's really about educating the students. We're not into punishing them, and about how to manage your resources. Back in our day, there's other things we had to manage too. I don't know. When I was in middle school, I was trying to sell candy. It's like trying to make a buck off some.
I was
whatever.
I was trying to read Mad Magazine all day, so
there was a lot going on, right? Like there's always other distractions, regardless of the generation.
Sure.
Cell phones just happen to be a super dynamic tool to engage and provide a lot of stimulation, right? It is engaging you. It is set up. Those apps are meant, and they are, the algorithms, they're working there to pull you in all the time. So that's why that's why, hours, we're not talking about minutes, we're talking about hours in which students can be engaged on their cell phones when there's no cell phone policy. We just need to have ours up to date in a way that supports our student learning and keeps them safe. That's our paramount duty. We'll continue to do that. I think we've done a really great job here in the Shelton School District, and keep their learning. Again, back to the things that we see in the students, and more kids graduating. Graduation rates are up for a reason here in the Shelton School District, right? Our teachers are doing a really good job. The kids are doing a great job. We'll continue to improve. We always have room to improve. Jeff, But like I said, OMS and OBJH did their no self-harm few learnings. It's gone really swimmingly well. So it's just, let's try not to make a whole lot of something out of nothing.
Sure. End of the school year is here. And so you just mentioned graduation and graduation rates. How's it looking for the graduates at the Choice, Cedar, and Shelton High as we get into these final weeks, really?
Yes, it is. It's almost a month, right? So school ends June 13th, and graduation looks great. A lot of kids are, especially at the high schools, getting ready for their next step. Many kids going on to, some trade schools. Some of them worked off you've been directly involved in like some of their internships.
Yeah.
They're all of a sudden getting job offers and doing that, and then continuing getting their training on the job, or maybe go back to some level of apprenticeship programs and stuff that furthers post-graduation. And we got over 50 kids going to Evergreen State for free.
Really?
For free.
On the Shelton Promise.
On Shelton Promise. So again, over 50 graduates this year between the three high schools going off to Evergreen State for free.
Wow.
Hard to say, right?
That's amazing.
Hard to believe. You're like, what? Like, no, really. Yeah.
When I went and did the feature with them and talked to Monier and I talked to the president over there, they were so happy to have the partnership and to see the students and how they felt that they were gooey ducks from the jump, like they recognized that the students here in the district had a real unique connection to Evergreen, and that's pretty awesome.
I'm even a little surprised, like I try to talk to as many seniors as I can at a variety of events. What are you doing? What's your plan? Because I'm very much like, what I'm trying to work away is the couch surfing.
Sure.
Post-graduation, right?
Yeah.
You know that is still a challenge, right? That is a challenge for us, right? And so we get excited about these things. And so I talk to them, and then I'm like, all right, what's your plan? Where are you going? Okay. And friends are usually right there too. Yeah, I'm trying to get them to do, friends trying to help them make good choices and come up with plans and that they've been working on, right, in high school. But this Evergreen State thing catches me a little, but as a surprise, only because I thought kids would sign up. I didn't realize that they were going to be this excited.
Sure.
I think they have a lot of tie-ins. We have a number of staff that went to Evergreen State here. A lot of staff, all makes and models of staff here, and that relationship is stronger than I realized. I think great people. The president at Evergreen State's really trying to remake that school, and John's done a great job. I had nothing, and then partnering with us. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's great for Shelton, our students, an opportunity to go there, and I think a lot of our students in the past have chosen to go to what most people know as community college, even though you can usually get a 4-year degree. Most of them, they go to community college because it's just affordability. Jeff, affordability is driving their decision, even though I think a lot of them wanted to go to a 4-year school. They didn't think it was really fiscally possible.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of those kids, that's what is part of the excitement is twofold. I'm going to 4-year school. I'm going for free, but I don't want to forget that. But I had the third one is just the relationship with Evergreen State being so close, but just far enough.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Great news. Well, let's leave it with that. Let's try to get one more of these in, either right as school ends or right around the middle of June, and kind of look again to the future of next school year and how it may look with any additional changes that you see coming through the budgets and things like that. But that's great news. 50 students going to Evergreen, and man.
50 plus, yeah. It was at least 50, yeah.
That's super cool. Superintendent Wyeth, Jessee here in the Shelton School District. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.